Prepare for a pint-sized parade of pulp and circumstance as we rank 4 itty-bitty games in this episode of Little Big Thumbs. Welcome to Little Big Thumbs, a channel that's all about finding games that are equally fun for little players and big players. My name's JP, and today we're going to be talking about Lemery Games. Lemery is a small independent game publisher made up of a couple that loves to travel, and that travel inspires the games that they publish. And we've just gotten our grubby little hands on their next release, which is a gorgeous bundle of 4 pocket-sized abstract games inspired by classics from Japan, Mongolia, Nepal, and Korea, and together it's all called the LUDOS Ancient Games Collection. Each game is stored in these itty-bitty boxes, and within those boxes are some positively luxurious pouches. Everything is so tiny in this package that when it first arrived, I actually thought that they forgot to include the boards. But each playing surface is stored in these silky little baggies, and they feel like very fancy handkerchiefs. If you're watching this video while their crowdfunding campaign is live, I do want to point out that they've got a pay what you want pledge level for one of these games, which would be arriving in one of their cute drawstring bags. And I just think this idea is really amazing and special. Of course, if you pledge for all 4, then you'll receive this stunning storage solution. But either way, Lemery's approach to this campaign is inviting and inclusive in a way that I can't really remember seeing before. So what we're going to be doing in this video is giving very brief overviews of each of the 4 games, ranking them in the order that our family is most excited to revisit them. They're all lovely little games, but if you're only able to get one of them, you might use this list to help you make that decision. So let's go put on our abstract thinking caps and get ready to learn some more about these 4 cute and crunchy board games. Now, before we get started with these board game rankings, make sure you're subscribed to Little Big Thumbs here on YouTube so that you don't miss out on any of our upcoming family-focused recommendations. We're going to kick things off today with Hasami Shogi, which is probably the most brain-burning of the 4 games. It's for 2 players, and in this game we're going to be trying to create a string of 5 tokens. It's kind of like tic-tac-toe, but with samurais and swords and slashing. We can move our pieces out from our starting area any number of spaces in one orthogonal direction, up and down, side to side, or we can instead hop over our own pieces. However, if you can manage to sandwich any number of opposing pieces between 2 of your own, those pieces are captured and they leave the game. And if one player winds up with fewer than 5 pieces left on the board, well, they obviously can't win the game, and that is an automatic loss. While the decisions are simple here, the potential to lose a whole battalion of playing pieces in a single swoop did not go over super well with my kids. So for us, Hasami Shogi is ranked in the number 4 spot, but I totally could see this game being a smash hit with someone like my father. The second game on our list is Jarmo, which is a 2-player game of asymmetric pathways. In this one, we're looking to move our pieces across a board of crisscrossing paths and dropping Mario-style squashes on any opposing piece that gets in our way. Those pieces leave the board when they get caught, but they can be restored if our pieces make it over into the starting spaces of the opposing player. The game ends once one player has all of their active pieces in the opposing starting spaces, and we score 2 points for every token that's in that opposing home base and 1 point for every other token remaining on the board. We found Jarmo to be a highly interactive game with pieces flying onto and off of the board extremely quickly. I could see this being anyone's favorite game from the collection, but for us, our top 2 games bumped this one down to number 3. Okay, it was really tricky to choose between these top 2 games. They're both very unique and interesting in very different ways. But our number 2 is going to be Bagchal, another 2-player game that's almost a game of cat and mouse, in which one player is controlling 4 tigers and the other is handling a herd of goats. In the first phase of the game, the tigers get to move around the board and can capture the goats by hopping over them, so long as there's an empty space to land on the other side. If the tigers can capture 5 goats, they win the game. Meanwhile, the goats don't start on the board, and they can't move throughout this first phase. They're placed on the board at these various intersections, trying to force the tigers into a situation where all four have no legal moves to make. And if that happens, the goat player is the winner. Once the goat player runs out of pieces to place, we move on to the second phase of the game, in which they can now begin moving those goat pieces around the board. They're trying to trap the tigers while hoping to avoid opening the door for a fifth tiger munch to take place. It's fascinating how wildly different the experience is playing one side or the other. And this is the game my older daughter wanted to play over and over and over again, switching sides every time we try to outwit one another. Just a really neat game and a really close number 2 on our list of Lemery Games. And finally, our top game, our number 1 game of this collection is called Ute, a 2 to 4 player game of horse racing. In this one, we're going to be moving around the game's racetrack, advancing our playing pieces by shaking and throwing casting sticks, moving one of our pieces the number of flat sides of the sticks that are facing up, unless those sticks are all facing down, in which case we move 5 spaces and then we get to throw the sticks again and add those 2 numbers together. If when moving our pieces we land on another player's horse, it gets sent back to the starting zone, and if we land on our own horse, we can move them as a stack on future turns. And while that stack may get us closer to winning the game, it puts a huge target on our backs. There are also intersections on the board, and if one of our pieces starts a turn on one of those intersections, it can branch out into the middle of the board, essentially finding themselves in a shortcut to the finish line. And speaking of that finish line, the goal of the game is to get all of our horses all the way around the track to the finish space, and that's how you win the game. Unlike the other 3 games, this is a luck-heavy game and really isn't an abstract title at all. It's filled with all the moments of frustration and elation of a real-life race, with the added tactile fun of tossing those lovely casting sticks. For those of us who grew up playing Ludo or Sorry or Trouble, it's got a real nostalgic flair to it, and add to that we can actually play everyone in our family together at the table for this game. That all adds up to this being our number 1 game on this list. So there you have it, a lightning-fast look at the 4 games that make up Lemery Games' LUDOS Ancient Games Collection. Whether you're taking advantage of that pay-what-you-can pledge during the campaign or grabbing the full collection, you'll be getting quick playing, portable, and elegantly attractive games that have stood the test of time in other parts of the world. As always, we'll include links in the description of this video where you can learn more. So I think that's it. So thank you so much for watching, and until next time, whether you've got little players or big players, make sure that you keep playing games that make your thumbs go way up. Bye for now.